Welcome back. Happy Love Day.
So we have
We are doing a stuffed. Let me see. We got stuffed potato, macaroni and cheese with smoked caviar, and then lobster and some. What do you call that? It's leaking. Asparagus. Sauteed with some onions. Yum. So today, of course, I just had chips up here to soak up the little juices. Okay, so we're gonna have a story for my man. It starts off in New Jersey, taking us down to that lovable southern state, Atlanta. The story is called Unholy Matrimony. Just how far will a wife go for her man of God? How far? Oh, y'all gotta try that. That is so good. So, like I said, the story starts off with this young lady. She was a newly young mother. In her early 20s. She just had her first son. And her baby father was in the street, thug life. And she just wanted some better. She wanted a better role model for her son. She didn't want him to grow up and find his dad and he's in the streets and then he followed pursuit. So she left. She went down to Atlanta. As soon as she got there, it was head over heels. This is the place for me. I promise you, there's something in the air in Atlanta. Because it just gives you this sense of like, I'm home. And there's the sweetest smell. I don't know how, I don't know why, but it's just the best smell. If you know, you know. So, long story short, I guess we're going to do a chip. This can turn into like 3 different things. Okay, so the story gets exciting. She moves to Atlanta with her and her son. And just to keep up her image, she was a church girl. So, of course, she went down there, found her a church to attend in Atlanta. And once she got, comfortable, in her new church home, this is where she meets Cindy, or Sydney. Sydney, it really, yeah. She claims it was his southern accent that really got her gears grinding. And his peculiar, hey little shouty, where you going? In church. Well, say shoot your shot. And since he was well known, he ain't gonna miss. He's slam dunking every time. So they start courting this young lady named Siobhan. Everything going well. Everything wonderful. After a few months, Sydney pops the question, will you marry me? Of course she said yes. She's like, this is a wonderful opportunity. My son will have a father. Everything will be great. Happily ever after. He's well known. People respect him. We're both in church. This is God. This is God's will. So they get married. Everything wonderful until Sydney shows up with a powder substance in a little container. Said time she didn't know what it was, and she's like, "What's that?" I was like, "Cocaine. Want some?" She's like, "No." And as she watched Sydney spiral down the love affair of cocaine, things started getting hectic. It got real, okay? Then, one day, there was a knock at the door, and it was from a neighbor from around the way, you know. He was familiar, so she opened the door. He's like, "I need to see your mans." And he's over there on the couch looking spooked. So he tells Siobhan to get in the car. He's like, "Please, just leave. Get in your car and leave." She didn't question him. She gets in the car. And instead of leaving, she waits. So, as she's watching her man talk with this other young man, she's trying to figure out what is this about. And out of nowhere, the neighbor pulls out a gun and starts shooting. She can't really make out what he was yelling about, but Sydney starts running towards the car. So I guess it's good she didn't pull off. So after that, he's like, "Pull off, pull off, pull off." So she pulls off finally. And they go get her son, and then they just don't go back to the apartments. She said, "I'm not going back, ever." So they just never went back. I guess they went and stayed with her mom. It was kind of choppy. So, well, Sydney was washing dishes in her mother's house. Her mom was going over her bank statements and just happened to notice that there's a lot of forgery going on in the bank account. So, you know, she, as a mother should, dug a little deeper and noticed that Sydney was writing checks to Siobhan's account and cashing the checks, putting her in a fraud type situation with cashing checks, bad checks at that. So she tells Siobhan, brings it to her awareness. She's like, not my man, my man, my man. He would never. So she shows the evidence. She still ain't going for it. So, I forgot. After that, Siobhan's mom pretty much wiped her hands of her. She's like, whatever. Your man, you and your man, get it together and get out. So they bounced. They got them another little place. And, I guess one day they was coming from the grocery store, and Siobhan just happened to notice her man came out of the store, the grocery store, with a purse. She's looking like, what's going on with this purse? Like, is that somebody's purse? Did you steal somebody's purse in there? Yeah, of course. I got needs. We need money. She's like, I really think you should get some help. It's not right. You can go around stealing people's bags. We can go to jail for this. Sydney just turns, looks at her and says, I need the money and I need my drugs, and punches her in the face. So, she decides that Siobhan decides to shape up. Because there was no exit off that ship. She was in it. She was in it for the long haul. So, her and Sydney head back to the house. I don't know what the discussion was or what transpired, but he decides to put her in shape. So he's sounding off on her. She on the couch, and he's like, don't ever question me on my actions, about what I'm doing or why I'm doing it. I don't need help. I have control over this substance. Get in line. Because there's no else. It's you and me. You're my wife. You do what I tell you. So, you know, she's scared. She young. And she's like, my son, my son. So she got together. But on the next day, he says, let's go make a run to the store. She's like, he must have really dug deep on her, because he just said, don't question me, roll with it. And here she is yet again, next day, air, with, are we about to make a robbery? And he's like, yeah. What do you think, we're going to the store to shop? No. We need some money. So she's like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be a part of it. He's like, okay, cool, whatever, yada, da, da, da. She's walking off, bink, straight to the back of the head. She falls. I guess she was in between the doorway of the hallway and her bedroom. A couple steps later, she's on the bed, getting choked out. So as he's choking her to unconsciousness, she's thinking, "This is it. God, if this is it, let it be. Let it flow." And so, as she lost consciousness, I don't know if he thought she was dead or what happened, but he gets up, he goes to the store by himself and hits a lick. Okay? So, as she's gaining consciousness, y'all, she said that was the worst feeling of her life, and she just could not. So, next time, like 2 days later, he said, "Let's ride to the store." She's like, "Okay, I don't want that to happen again. So let me just go." And so this time he decides to drive, and he tells her, "I want you to take that lady's purse." And she's like, "I can't do that." He's like, "Excuse me? I just told you what I want you to do. Do as you talk. You're my wife. Don't you love me?" So she's like, "Yes, I love you." And decides that she's now going to one more time attempt to stand her ground on what was right. And he takes out his little 9 and shoves it in her waist and says, "You're going to do as I say. Ain't no it's about it. Do it." So he rolls down the window and she snatches this lady's bag. Unfortunately, when he starts to roll up the window from the lady tussling with her back and forth, the other lady's scarf that got the bag snatched, her scarf gets stuck in the window. And so now this lady, she's scuffling for her life, okay? Because she's trying to get her scarf away from around her neck. At this point, they're starting to drag this lady by the car. So, I mean, she was probably seeing her life completely come to an end, or her leg come to an end, something. Something was finna get rolled over. So, the bystanders was the ones that were able to call the police for her and be a witness. So, luckily, the scarf came loose, and she was able to break away from that whole situation. And she was able to break away. Police show up, she's frazzled, she's bleeding, her neck is bleeding, her shoulders bleeding, her hands are bleeding, her knees are bleeding, the whole thing's just rattled, okay? And about 2 hours later, the police get another call about another robbery with the same car. This time, they get the tag number, because the first time the way the cameras were set and the way the car was set up, they just got the side windows was tinted so you couldn't see in. You couldn't really make out what was what, you know. So with them being able to see the tag number, they looked up the tag number, came back to Sidney Carter. They learned that he had a wife. So they're like, okay, so these are the 2 suspects we're looking for. On the way, they was on the way to another lick. And that's when the police pulled them over. Told him, "Come with us." Went down the booking. That's it, that's all. It's a wrap. No more licks for you today. So, with them being able to pin the tag and that on that and the third on them too. Siobhan, she's staying down for her man. She's not saying nothing. They book her, take her to the prison. On the other hand, after a while, Mr. Carter decided he was going to just go ahead and make a statement. So he said he needed his drugs. He could not stay there. He said he got to get out. So after like 4 months of Siobhan being in jail, she decides to ask for her lawyer. She wants to figure out what's going on. She ain't heard from her man. She's needing to hear from her man. And her man. She got it. Her man. Okay? Focus, y'all. So her attorney gets to her in prison and tells her, you know, let me tell you something, okay? Your man, he been out for a couple months now, okay? What I can consider to tell you to consider is to make a statement before you go to trial, because at this point, it's not looking too good, okay? You go ahead and make your statement so that your side of the story can be heard, because at this point, it's just looking like you might have had him hitting licks. I'm not saying he put it off on you, but it's not looking good for you at this point. We're going to be going to trial pretty soon now. So, after a couple days, I don't know why it took a couple days, but after a couple days, Siobhan called her lawyer and said, look, I want to tell my side of the story. And she told them, or her attorney, that she had been being beaten and muted and hushed for the whole time that they've been married. So it wasn't a marriage in heaven falling from the divine. It was just straight hell. She said her wedding day was the best day of her life, and after that it was just downhill from there. It was just a whole fall from grace. It just fall. He went from, oh my lady of the everything, to shut up and sit there. Take it and just take it, because getting out was never an option. He wasn't going to give that to her. So she decided that, you know, for her son's safety and her safety, she just would just deal with it and hope everything would be great. So, unfortunately, she ended up going to jail. She did 2 years. They sentenced her for 2 years. They seen her as what it was. She was a battered accomplishment. However you say that. She was guilty because she participated, but against her will, and in an abusive situation. That's how you can say that. And then, of course, Mr. Carter, he got 10 years because he over there playing Grand Theft Auto, snatching purses, getting shot at, you know, doing the thug thizzle. So he goes to jail. Siobhan gets out within 2 years, and she is now, I'm sure she's probably still doing counseling with her son, or maybe not. This happened quite a while ago. But when she did get out, they were doing counseling with her and her son, rebuilding and rekindling their relationship and healing whatever damage her marriage caused the two of them. And while being in jail, she decided to rekindle her relationship with God. So she's completely nurtured herself back to a positive mindset. And she's looking forward to brighter days. This also took place on February 12th, 2016. And I would just love to say my little bits and pieces in the end. Plug it in. We may. Sometimes it's just good to go ahead and do a background check on the people you love. Because you just don't know. They could have a good heart and the wrong demeanor. They could be well known, but for all the wrong reasons. So do your diligence, you guys. Be safe out there. And thank you for coming. Exhale love and let love be the way in a healthy way. Enjoy your Valentine's Day.